People say that the eighth house is the house of transformation because they associate the eighth house with Scorpio, but that's wrong. In modern astrology, there's this concept that we call ABC houses, is where they basically equate the signs of the zodiac to the houses, because there's 12 houses and there's 12 signs of the zodiac. So they'll say, okay, the first house naturally has Aries energy. The eighth house naturally has Scorpio energy. And Scorpio is a sign that's associated with transformation, especially because of, in modern astrology, people say that it's ruled by Pluto. But I use a traditional whole sign approach to reading charts. So a lot of what I use and believe in does not go for that. But yeah, they attribute that because Scorpio and Pluto is the planet that does literally represent transformation. It represents complete disruption. Pluto is the planet that will come and knock some shit down and totally like bring it back to life. It's something different, something new, like a regenerative phase of whatever that thing is. So because, you know, Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, and people associate the eighth house with Scorpio, they think that the eighth house is transformation. But again, that's wrong. So in traditional astrology, the eighth house is the house that represents the other. The eighth house is other people's things, other people's resources. So that's anything that you can get from somebody, whether that's a gift, whether that's money. It's money and investments and things that you can get from other people. It's taxes, it's debts, it's loans, it's inheritances. Also thinking about how it's the second house from your seventh house, which is the house that represents your partner. The seventh house can also be associated with your partner and your partner's things. Now, also with that, like I said, the eighth house represents things that we get from other people, and I've listed a whole bunch of physical things, but the eighth house also represents the intangible things that we inherit from people. So resentments, fears, insecurities, those can all be things that can be found in the eighth house. The eighth house also has a connotation with therapy and psychology and your psyche as well too, and really diving deep to the most inner, intimate parts of yourself as well too. So yeah, that is what the eighth house really is. What you hear a lot about astrology, especially modern astrology, and especially like on social media and TikTok, I'm not going to say that it's wrong, but everybody does things differently. And if you go back to the sources and if you go back to the tradition and the roots of things, you'll see that how modern astrology does things. Like they kind of like, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but basically astrology has had different phases and iterations, and some things have been forgotten and lost. And as we go back and uncover some more of the ancient and traditional things, we can come and get reasonings for the stuff and the reasons why we do things.